Alright, well we've hit 256 subscribers now. Awesome, guys. Thank you very much for sticking around and listening to me. This is about half of the following I had on Twitter before they shit-canned me. Hopefully we'll get up to that point at the next milestone. But in the meanwhile, I'm going to do some shout-outs, comments, responses, and some channel recommendations. We've had some interesting visitors since my last milestone video. We've had visits from Ask Yourself, who's sent a fair bit of traffic my way. Thank you for that. Had Dan Sullivan drop by to talk about economics a little bit, which was cool in my opinion. Most of you probably don't know Dan Sullivan, but I know him from this article he wrote long time ago called Greens and Libertarians, the yin and yang of our political future. It is part of the reason I was persuaded into Georgism. I really like that article. Recommend you read it. I have it linked in the description so you can check that out. We've also had a visit from Ryan Higa's mom, which is coming a long way down the YouTube celebrity totem pole just to pick on me, but hey, Lucy Higa, just like to say, I called it. Your copyright claim on my video expired. Go fuck yourself, cunt. On to other subjects. I figured I'd go over some of the mistakes I've made over the course of my YouTube channel. I don't think I've made too many, but I've made a few. By far, the biggest issue in any of the videos I've produced so far is unfortunately probably in one of my favorite videos, and that is the What is Georgism, Geo-Libertarianism video. The problem with that video is this one section right here. After mulling it around a bit, I now believe it's actually entirely possible to run a decentralized, market-based, land value tax system. And here's how it would work. All land would be subject to recurring auctions. At the expiry of their lease, an existing landowner would submit their land for auction, attaching to it a reserve price of their choice for any improvements made to it. Bidders must accept the reserve price before making bids. The highest bidder then pays the reserve price all at once or in periodic installments directly to the previous owner, as compensation for the improvements, which again include housing, infrastructure, etc. The bid then represents the rent owed to the state, which may recur on a weekly, monthly, or even yearly basis. The deed transfers to the new tenant, and the tenant moves in. And to prevent people from becoming entrenched behind an artificially high reserve price, landowners may be ejected from the premises if they fail to secure any bids, and made to continue paying rent until they can auction the land at an acceptable reserve price. So unless I've made some catastrophic mistake, this method should guarantee against multiple concerns. Now I've had this part of the video ripped apart every which way. In particular, I'd like to credit Jordan Ruttenberg for making it clear to me. He's the one who posted the comment that most clearly explained to me what I think the issue was. And yeah, it is probably the only part in the video where I ventured to make my own independent suggestion, apart from what I've read. And lo and behold, it turns out to be a bad suggestion because it's exploitable. Now, I still argue that you can have an auction system, and I would still prefer to have an auction system because that is the closest way of approximating market value of a product without having independent evaluators come in on like state budget or some shit like that. I want to avoid that sort of bureaucracy, and I'm sure a lot of other people on my side would agree with that as well. However, my reserve price method just wouldn't work. And to be fair, it's not even a method that would really be persuasive to anyone who is citing Hayek or Rothbard in the first place. These are people who are anarchists. Anarchists are not going to suddenly be persuaded to pay rents to the state just because I decided to implement an auction system in some way. Alright, now let's go over some comments. These are some comments that have popped up on YouTube or Reddit in direct response to videos I've made. I've tried to get a mix of positive and negative ones that I haven't responded to already. So let's see what we got here. CY5208 says, low-hanging fruit. This is in response to my most recent video on Brother Jared, aka Xbox Jared, aka Jared Genesis, aka Punk Rock Jared. I agree, he is low-hanging fruit in a very broad sense, but there are two things I would say would somewhat exempt me from this criticism, and that's that, one, unlike other people who would be commonly called low-hanging fruit, they're not easy targets in the sense that they've already been exposed as targets. Like, I don't think anybody knows about Jared. Low-hanging fruit, yes, but obscure and rare low-hanging fruit. That's got some value to it. Apart from that, I'd also like to say part of the reason I decided to pick on him is because he almost perfectly encapsulates that imaginary Trump supporter in the head of every single SJW. This is the kind of person people accuse me of being when I disagree with them on a completely unrelated topic. The only evidence you have is that I don't agree with you. And I'm afraid if everyone who doesn't agree with you is someone like Jared, you have a more warped view of reality than even Jared. Alright, next comment. Vlog like no one's watching. The cube analogy for name the trait is BS. Name the trait relies on being built around a discrete, distinct value. The cube analogy is therefore actually further misdirection by ask yourself, a cube is a cube. If we were to build a real name the trait scam challenge built around a cube, we would have to include something not cube. The cube analogy does not do this. Where do I even start with this? This is exactly the sort of comment I was criticizing in my Name the Trait is Not an Argument video. And yet he posted this on my Name the Trait is Not an Argument video. The lack of self-awareness is real, people. Let me just point to this one thing instead of a human is a human. His Name the Trait asks the victim to name a trait that, were it lacking in a human, would make a human no longer human. That's literally not what he says. He says, if there was a trait lacking in a human, would that make the human no longer morally valuable? And you summarize this with, or name a trait that, were it lacking in X, would make X no longer X. That doesn't even make mathematical sense. You can't have X contain X, otherwise you've created an infinity of nesting X's. You can't do that. That doesn't make sense. You've created a paradox. I'm not even going to read the rest of this. He goes on to say, watch my video, name the trait, the scam exposed. I'm not going to watch your shitty video, fuck you. Doomsayer says, I've found some disagreements with things you've said, but the fact that you were at least willing to engage with the ideas of others, I'm going to assume he says he likes that. Have a sub, heart emoji. Thank you very much. Vegan Tina says, oh, now it makes perfect sense. You are logically dishonest and have a problem with people who aren't. This explains a lot. This is a person who decided to comment on an unlisted video response I made. It was a video response in which a non-vegan was asking questions to vegans, and one of the questions was, are you in favor of late-term abortions? I said, no, I'm not. And I said, that's a good question, though, because a lot of vegans will be massive hypocrites on that subject. And Vegan Tina comes in, and ultimately this was my post response to her. You've offered no arguments whatsoever, gave no substantiating reasons for your broad sweeping assertions. You have no power over her. Her body, her choice. These are not arguments. You opted instead to repeatedly insist that my sex somehow informs my ability to make reasoned moral judgments. The fact that it involves a vagina, and your critic may not happen to have one, makes no difference on whether or not they can criticize you. You're a stupid, sexist piece of shit of a human being, fuck you. That basically summarizes my whole point here. This is a comment I got in a private message, so I'm gonna hide the name here. Hi, I've been watching your videos for a while, and even though I don't agree with everything you have to say, most notably on veganism, I do believe, however, you're actually genuine in your beliefs, which is more than you can say about most people these days. Just wanted to say that I'm a fan of what you're doing, keep up the good work. If this is the vast majority of positive responses I get, I don't agree with you, but I like to watch you, I am cool with that. Thellet1, in response to my morality is subjective debunked video, said, side note, reductio ad absurdum is subjective. If anybody ever says this to you, shoot them. The most charitable way I can interpret this response is that they say, oh, but what you consider absurd is entirely opinionated. No. No, it's not. I'm not using absurd in a general, oh, that's weird or dumb kind of response. When I am using reductio ad absurdum, I am talking about a conclusion which results in a contradiction. The absurdity is that you are contradicting yourself by simultaneously holding conflicting views. That is the absurdity. It is not simply, well, that seems silly. That is not my response. That is not what reductio ad absurdum is. You are an idiot. Aaron Morton said, "Dude, this was a great video. I can't believe I stumbled on this just now. It is so sad that such a brilliantly devised yet simple solution isn't that well known, but we are all doing the best we can to bring Georgism back to the forefront of politics." Thank you very much. That's kind of one of the biggest selling points of the concept, too. It's a really simple change at base. The only real obstacle to it is people don't know all the effects that such a simple change would have. They underthink the effects of taxes in general. Like, they understand it in the abstract, but they don't think of the literal domino effect that taxes have, and how taxing different things affects the economy in different ways. Dottie, or Dahidi, or whatever his name is, I'm gonna call him Bieber Fever. He tried to name the trait as being reasonable human qualities, which, let me just stop here right now. If anyone watching this video thinks you can justify the differentiated treatments between humans and non-humans morally with reasonable human qualities, and you don't immediately realize how vague and how vulnerable that is to reductio ad absurdum, leave. Unsubscribe from my video, never speak to me again, I don't want to talk to you. If you don't realize how fucking shitty of a response that is, how loaded it is, and how much it begs the question, I don't want to talk to you. I do not want to talk to you. And I really should not have to explain to you how absurd that is. And if your response to this response is to say, oh, well, he's not explaining his position, he's not justifying his point, fuck off. Just fuck off. This guy is not going to pin me on veganism. There's no fucking way. This is a guy who says logic does not have to be consistent between different contexts and ends all of his responses with the cringing laugh. No, this guy's not gonna fucking bag me on veganism. But if you want to see him bag me on veganism, go ask this guy to upload the private debate he had with me on Discord about veganism. Pussy hasn't done it yet. I've challenged him to. You fucking got me, bro? Upload it. Show everybody. Show everybody how good at debating you are. Jason Albano says, haha, this channel is fucking glorious. Subscribed. Thank you very much. Papilla Poitiers says, suck a dick, boy. You're a stupid whining nerd. Get your dick back up and stop crying. This is probably the most incisive criticism I've ever received. Clearly, I've shown throughout all of my videos, I just don't suck enough dick. Maybe if I sucked more dick, my videos would be better. I mean, you got me. I don't suck enough dick. M3, I'm not even going to say that. Messenger M, I think is what their username is supposed to be.
I'd hack him if I get my hands on hacking operating systems such as Black Arch Linux, Kali, and so forth. Exploit him, expose her, him, make him to be publicly embarrassed and even kill him. He censored people I knew and followed in the past year. He stepped in last 2014 senior war porn sites got launched by pimp-suing pornography operation ring, which makes profits and they admitted porn is illegal. It seems that the world and its creator is very mad, and yes, we're all mad one way or another. About 80% of the internet is filled with pornography. I looked at very tiny percentage of old pics of Cough, him, Susan, CEO, and I just edited the beginning part of my comment going from her to him, she, him. It is a major problematic aspect. He censors automatic emails, flags, bans, demonetization against people who don't monetize their videos or channels. Yeah, this platform is fucked up. Their system is trusted by idiots and idiotic degenerates. Their system is not trusted by me or others, or not even by true Christians. Trust this fucking CEO nor this company that runs it. Screw you, faggot CEO suit.
So I think what I'm gathering from this is you're upset. And finally, Propertarian Joe said, oh jeez, this is, oh my god, okay. Alright buddy, you're gonna get a free response out of this. I have not read this until just now. Okay, let's see what you got. This is in response to my race realism video. This video is bad, really bad. I never really understood the usage of poisoning the well or muddying the waters until now. Okay, so you're accusing me of poisoning the well. Citation. The usage of allegorical heavy argumentation. You mean analogies. Arguments by analogies. Like reductio ad absurdum. And non sequiturs. Citation. Were laughable enough, fam, but then you had the gall to claim the science and truth is against such a topic. I didn't say that at all, actually. I didn't say that anywhere in the video. In fact, that's literally a straw man of my position, because I never said that science is against race realism. What I specifically said is that science does not support race realism. Race realism is not scientifically supported. That doesn't mean science is against it. You're confusing not a positive with a negative. Don't ever do that. It shows that you are beyond stupid. Anyone who confuses something that is not positive with a negative is an idiot. Because there is zero. Zero is neither positive nor negative. There is a middle fucking ground. Ugh. I'll put it into the simplest definition possible. Science is the use of measurement to formalize and organize both human and natural, one and the same personally, phenomena that is visible into set sequences that is correspondent with reality and check for existentially possible making formulas, and then the attempt to remove ignorance, error, bias, wishful thinking, and deceit from its hypothesis through attempted falsification testing. Okay. I'm gonna skip most of this, because, oh my god, he started linking me shit, and you don't need to link me any of this. You link me to biomedcentral.com. Why is that in any way necessary? I'm aware of gene clusters, dude. My video is not disputing the existence of gene clusters. What I'm disputing is that your assertion that you can correlate gene clusters to an arbitrarily defined demographic like race means that you have science to support your race and the importance of your defined race. Because again, via reductio ad absurdum, I can equally apply the same logic using gene clusters to point at hair color or freckles. You don't do that because it's not politically convenient to you. By the way, your reliance on deductive reasoning and logics are a dead end. Okay, buddy. Alright. You got me. I used deductive reasoning and the logics. I'm a fucking fool. Alright, that'll wrap up comments for now. Let's see. Let's talk about... I'm gonna recommend 3 bigger channels than me, and I'm also going to recommend a couple smaller channels. The first one will be one that I kind of regretted not including in my first milestone video, and that would be Logicked. Logicked is an atheist channel. He's best known for doing long-form debunks of Christian apologetics, Muslim apologetics, and New Age conspiracy theories. He's got a handful of long playlists where he tears apart huge seminars point by point. What I really like about him is that he manages to remain pretty calm throughout all of his responses while still, throwing in kind of jabs and jokes here and there. But he's also really articulate with precisely why certain arguments don't make sense, and why, even if we were to accept certain arguments as true, why their other claims wouldn't make sense, and that sort of thing. He goes into a lot of detail about the importance of screening all of your beliefs and all of your sources, and if there is a skeptic channel I recommend, it is this one.
The next one had 15 pairs of ribs. A couple of trips through the buzzsaw did that. And then it miraculously grew back 19 pairs of ribs as it evolved, and then back to 18.
Oh my gosh, there's variation in the rib counts of ancient equids? Everybody panic! Evolution is disproven! And so is descent within kinds! Since domestic pigs, which aren't just the same kind, but even the same subspecies, can have anywhere between 13 pairs of ribs in short breeds and up to 17 in long breeds like the American landrace, which can also have 16 even though variation is impossible! And since the increased number of ribs was likely caused by artificial selection by humans to get more rib meat, I'm sure that'll increase even more once we finish breeding our Texas-sized pigs. I can't wait to order me a full rack of that at that Texas grill. And it doesn't help that the Arabian horse commonly has 17 pairs of ribs, but can have 18, and other horses usually have 18, and Pleiohippus, which you apparently think was the ancestor of horses and zebras,
Probably the zebra and the horse had a common ancestor.
had 19, or that within bear kind, spectacled bears have 13 pairs, while others have 14, or within elephant kind, the African elephant has 20 or 21 pairs, while the Asian elephant has 19 or 20, or within snake kind, the number of ribs varies by hundreds, not 1 or 2 or 5, or that while 12 is typical, humans can have between 11 and 13 pairs. And to stop the creationists who are even worse than you before they have a chance to say it, no, women don't have more ribs than men by default. Nope, apparently it's impossible for the number of ribs to change, even though it happens all the fucking time within what you consider the same kind, so no two animals with different numbers of ribs can be the same kind, and all of a sudden you have who knows how many thousands of extra animals to pack into that ark. It might be hard to find the space, but at least now you can pretend you have a reason to ignore the equid fossil record.
The next YouTuber I strongly recommend is Styx Hexon Hammer 666. He mainly does political vlogs in 10-15 minute intervals. He's a much better speaker than me, and if you can stand to look past what I put up on the screen to listen to what I have to say, I trust you to be able to do the same thing with this guy. Don't disregard him based on his looks. He's a really intelligent guy who's got a lot of good points to make. Not that I agree with him on everything, of course, but a lot of the other stuff he covers is occult-related, which I know would turn off a lot of people, but to be fair, he doesn't take it all on board. He believes in a handful of benign conspiracy theories on different things, but for the vast majority of stuff he covers in this department, it's really just kind of out of interest, like kind of a fascination with like mythology, right? The clip I'm going to show you is one where he right out admits out of the gate that he believes in fairies, but then by the end of the video, he completely justifies his belief in fairies.
I mentioned in passing my belief in elves, gnomes, and things like that, and was asked sort of to make a more expansive video on the topic. The big debate is when we look, we can clearly see that a lot of what is done now in science is what was spoken of first by the spiritual. The idea of transmuting elements into gold was held as true, or metaphorically speaking true, by ancient alchemy. But the idea was that no stable, element can be transformed into another. But they were wrong. And we know that they're wrong, because they have smashed nickel atoms together in the Large Hadron Collider and produced gold. Is a particle accelerator the same as alchemy? No. But the principle turned out to be true. The principle was, for centuries, regarded as impossible. And when the spiritual provides an explanation for something, and then science talks about it and so forth, you get a lot of times what you get is this explanation from one side to the other, regardless of which you're talking to, of something is not possible. And time again, we prove that that's wrong. It's impossible to fly. Well, we just flew. It's impossible to leave, the Earth's atmosphere and put something into high orbit. Well, we did. As far as the idea of fairies or gnomes or something go, I would say the first likelihood is that they exist on other planets anyway, because I personally believe the universe is infinite in size, does not have actual limits, that we will eventually realize this is the case. The next step is we realize there's a multiverse. Eventually after that, somehow we'll realize that it's not even the only multiverse, and we'll say, well, we might as well consider it infinite in size. Therefore, it contains, I believe, this is my estimate, I believe it contains an infinite amount of life, and potentially an infinite assortment of different types of life. As such, anything you've seen in a movie, somewhere else potentially has already come to pass.
The last bigger channel I'm going to recommend today is Ozzie Gamer. Ozzie Gamer is a guy who does commentated playthroughs of almost strictly stealth games. He will go through, show the various ways you can fuck them up and how to perfect them on the highest difficulty. But I think the best part of Ozzie Gamer is really how he dubs over the other characters in the game and presents really funny skits involving the protagonist going around and killing everybody one by one. It's lots of fun.
You cunts have just broken into the wrong fucking house. Oh shit, the homeowner is home. I'll take him out. Hey, no one breaks into my fucking... Holy shit, he just killed one of our guys! Quickly, stare at him! House, let that be a lesson to you.
Dad?
Whoa, shit! Oh, Sarah, you should know better than to sneak up on Daddy when he's murdering people.
Hey, what's cracking, King? A flippity floppity, a boppity boopity, a scoopity doop doop doop.
Cut the crap. You know what I want.
You want some drugs, man?
Yeah, I want some drugs.
I said, do you want some drugs?
Yeah, I'd like some drugs.
I said, do you want some drugs, man?
Hell yeah, I want some fucking.
Headshot.
Why, hello there, vomit bag.
Get away. I'm sick. I'm sick.
Well then, be healed.
Oh wow, I suddenly feel much better. Guards! Guards! Oh, guards! That guy lightly nudged me.
He did what? You sick son of a bitch. You die for your crime.
Oh, my stomach. It's turning like mad. I just don't understand.
What ingredient could be possibly causing such... Wait! Upstairs. Bathroom. Counter. Sleeping pills. But surely somebody wouldn't be so vile as to...
Afraid so.
This is Constable cares too much. It appears that we have a suspicious brick wall in the area. Still unsure of its intentions, but will report in after further investigation. You hear that, mate? I'm onto you. I know an evil brick wall when I see one, and mark my words, I'm going to...
Okay, boys, let's see how this chump fares against Third Echelon's finest. Well, I think that this is as good a time as any to gaze dramatically at my reflection in the water and deeply reflect upon my life. Reflect on that. Now, having taken care of that nuisance, we'll move back to get a good view of the destruction we're about to cause, throw a remote mine onto the petrol tanker, push the detonate button, and blow the gate as well as all the motherfuckers around it. Sky fucking high! Yeah!
I will recommend two smaller channels this time, mainly because I'm still not quite big enough to say that there are that many I would confidently recommend that don't have as many followers as me. One would be AntiCarnist. AntiCarnist is an artist who does a lot of, who creates vegan merchandise. The kind of artwork you would see, it seems like something you would see like on a metal album, or like on a really sick tattoo or something like that. His logo in particular I like because it kind of merges the traditional evil image of Baphomet with that of the good Buddha. I really like that. I would say, though, if you intend to visit his channel, talk to him on Twitter or anything like that, do bring up that snake he supposedly owns and feeds eggs, because I don't think that's vegan. And the other channel I would recommend is Real Estate for Ransom. It's a dead channel, but the main feature of this channel is a documentary which talks about the importance of shifting to a land value tax from an Australian perspective. It's pretty interesting, gives a lot of good info for anyone else coming to my channel, trying to learn more about the topic. You might find some value in that, so as my recommendation for you to go check it out.
Wealthy interests have watered down our economic knowledge and renamed it neoclassical economics.
Classical economics stopped being taught, especially after 1980. They dropped economic history from the academic curriculum. World War I saw England and the United States win and essentially imposed the Anglo-American tax system and financial system on the world. They replaced the history of thought with mathematics, which were essentially trivialized using junk statistics to create a junk economics, to create the bubble economy.
From an early age, we are indoctrinated to pay income, sales, and payroll tax. But nobody dares teach the advantages of land tax.
That is about it for today. This was Kiribon for 256 subscribers. I will create another one when we hit 512. If you know anybody else who would find interest in this channel, please do share any of my videos with them. I hope you've enjoyed your stay. I hope you continue to enjoy your stay, and that you get something out of it, even if you disagree with me. And, see you later. Thanks. Bye.